Right. On that note, we are live. So welcome everybody to this very laid back AMA with quite a few lovely participants. As usual, we try to give you guys an opportunity to ask your questions, because after masterclasses, the time frame for the Q&A is usually quite limited, because our participants usually have quite a bit to say. So this is one of those opportunities to ask your questions. So you can already start dropping them in chat. We brought a few questions from the masterclasses over this week to start off with, and we're going to be keeping an eye on both this chat on YouTube, also on Twitch, and on our Matrix channel, on the general community Matrix channel. And with that said, let me introduce our participants. I'll start with my co-host, who finally made it to one of the shipyard events as well. Diane, how's it going?
Hey, thank you, Sudo. I'm doing great. How about you guys? So happy to be here. Finally, I finally made it. I'm sorry, I've been very busy, but I do want to be here more often and help co-host. So I'm looking forward to see all your questions today. And yeah, let's chat about tokenomics.
It's amazing. It's amazing to have you, and of course, also our presenters from this week are all here, except for Claudia, who presented earlier. But we also brought her on board. So let's go to my right. Pawnflake, how is it going? Say hi to the people.
Yeah, good. Thanks. Had good talk yesterday. Glad to be here. Looking forward to all the questions. Yeah.
We also have with us Serinko, Nim DevRel. Say hi to the people.
Hey everyone again, good to be here. Great day, great Friday afternoon spending, and with all of you, but especially with a cryptography legend, Claudia. It's my honor. It's a lead researcher who's bringing cutting edge primitives for decades to defending people's freedom. So I'm very happy to share stage together. Thank you very much.
That is very well said, and that leads us to Claudia, NIMF co-founder and also chief scientist. How's it going, Claudia?
Hi, thank you for the nice words, and thank you for inviting me to this session. The screens were frozen just a couple of minutes ago, so if that happens again, I'll just cut my video so that I can, have the sound in.
Oh.
Just like now.
We lost Claudia. There's some like black magic going on with Claudia and Talk Studio, the tool we're using for streaming, but hopefully we'll get her back soon enough.
Video, because indeed you guys are getting frozen in my screen, so I guess there's some problem with my connection. And
also probably Claudia's blushing from Serinko's intro, right?
That too.
Don't worry, it's all true. It's all true. Moving on to Hux, who everybody probably already knows, but please introduce yourself to the people.
Hey guys, super nice to be here. I'm also a bit Friday afternoony, but looking forward to your questions and discussing more of the stuff that we presented during this week and last week. And also super happy to share the stage with so many wonderful people.
All right, so don't forget to leave your questions in the chat. We're going to be starting with some older ones and keeping a close eye on the chat as well. First question is, I think I'm not gonna point it to anybody. Let's just discuss. So this one is from User Element. That's the name. We got this question from Element. Very creative. Thanks for the question. Is it legal to run a node that enables privacy? Will node operators be targeted? And should a node run on a rented VPS or a personal machine? I think these are all great questions. Maybe Serinko?
Yeah. Happy to get to know all the operators as well, as my main responsibility is to make sure that we have quality running nodes, but also having larger number of those. So the community is the major kind of mycelium which connects us together, first of all. So good to talk kind of directly, at least to your question. Well, it depends. It depends if we talk about a mixed node or if we talk about the exit gateway. Because what do they do? Mixed node basically gets data from the entry gateway or from another mixed node, depends on its layer. And the data comes anonymized, and they leave anonymized to the next mixed node or to the exit gateway. So the mixed node itself doesn't, except like mixing packets which are all the same size, doesn't see any of the data and doesn't actually send them nowhere to the internet. So that's and that's what we've been running on a mainnet for quite some time now without any problem. When it comes to the exit gateway, And we'll talk later about, if operator can even in future run one or the other, or if operator has to run both, or the optionality of both. That's another question. But if we come to that functionality, that is legally more tricky. And here I'm on a layer of information. I'm not on a layer of giving advice. So please take it with that. I'm not a legal advisor, and in fact, entire name cannot be. Why is that so? Because as I've said yesterday, we write software, we write code, we support you to run that, but we are not the operator. For having decentralized network, what we all aim for, you all are the operators, right? We operate it in a house ourselves, which means that in every jurisdiction, the laws, restrictions, and regulations on running a gateway will be different. For that, we are spinning up a legal forum. You can find it on the operator wiki, which we have on nimtech.net/operators. There's already a way how to add through pull request or linked groups, which you can join and start to discuss, researching how is it in your jurisdiction, because every jurisdiction will differ. So far, what we've learned from Tor on Tor X is that it is not illegal. There doesn't seem to be a problem per se. Back connection on turn.
Did we lose Serinko?
I think so.
That was a really good answer, though. I really enjoyed listening
Yes.
to him explaining this. It's a really complex topic.
Yes.
Am I muted?
Now you're back. Yes, cool. We hear you.
Okay. Oh, I thought I turned off my camera. I muted myself. Yeah. Okay. As what it comes to PS versus local machine, I'll be very quick here because Pawnflake yesterday, check that video we had on operators. Basically, it is difficult to make your machine to be stable enough and having a stable IPv4 and IPv6 IP address. For that reason, yes, it would be kind of preferable if people run things on a legal machine, on a local machine. However, VPS is more stable and gonna do the business better. But we do aim for having decentralization not only per region but also per provider. So go to, I'm not even gonna name those. You can imagine which providers maybe you wanna avoid security reasons as well as for centralization, because then in the end being different places and is gonna run two biggest companies. So I think niche provides be a bit expensive. That's okay. Put it in your description and note. Yes, correct. Why for the sake of decentralizing rather than on the big stores in the world. Say for now, unless time.
Serinko, I gotta stop you there because it's very hard to hear you. You're breaking up a lot. Are you by chance using any privacy preserving technologies for this call? You're muted.
Well, I will restart.
Yes, maybe Serinko can rejoin.
Let's move on, shall we? I mean, he kind of did answer. Should we recap what he said? I tried to pay lots of attention.
Yes,
if you can recap.
Yeah. So he I think what he said, and correct me if I'm wrong, but super simply put, it's preferable. It would be preferable to run on your physical machine, but since you can't really make sure that the quality is as high as it's run from a VPS provider's virtual machine, the recommended is to run it from VPS providers' virtual machines for sake of stability and having a good routing score, and not dropping packets. So I think that was what he said for the second question.
Yes, and maybe actually Pawnflake could riff on this a little bit. The decentralization aspect of since you developed Explorenim, you have quite a good overview of how centralized or decentralized the mixnet is currently. A lot of that depends on VPS, so maybe you could riff on that a little bit.
I kind of feel like it's gone off the question a little bit. Was it more to do with the legality?
There were three questions in one. So one was whether it's legal to run an M node. The other was whether operators will be targeted, and then the third one was whether whether operators should run their nodes on VPS or a local machine.
And we kind of invited you
Okay.
to.
Yeah. If unless you're very, very tech savvy, I would suggest you just stick to a VPS. You need to know quite a lot to run something like that yourself, that piece of hardware with the good amount of uptime, watching your connection. I certainly wouldn't run from home unless I had access to a business line at some location like an office or something, then potentially, but I would stick to a VPS.
Right. I think
yeah, about whether operators would be targeted. I mean, I can share some discussions I had with people who have been operating exit nodes in for Tor. And what they claim is that, yes, indeed, like about once a year, maybe they get a phone call or somebody makes an inquiry about some access that was proxied from their machine that was maybe to some resource that is, whatever, problematic for some reason. He has been, the operator I was talking to has been doing, running a node for a few years. And yeah, I mean, of course, these are very kind of annoying. To be contacted by the police about something you're running is annoying. But basically, it doesn't really go that much further than that, right? Like once they get an understanding of what you're running and that you don't really are not the originator, that you don't really even know the originator, it seems that no much more trouble was reported. This was for a country in Europe. I don't know about other places.
Thank you. And we've also got Serinko back. Not sure, Serinko, if you want to finish your answer. We have Pawnflake, Claudia, and Hux who already made some comments after you. But yeah, please do finish up if you can.
No, I think I'll if Pawnflake, Hux, and I heard now Claudia talking, I think we can move to the next one. So we're not gonna also take too much time on that. Sorry for my techie problems. Privacy internet. What can you do sometimes?
Okay. But yeah, your connection has improved, so at least that's that. Shall we move on to a different question? So we had another question from before, and that was, yes, someone had a concern that unstake time is an hour for now, and that they find that pretty short. So typical Cosmos is 14 days, and that would be better for token stability. I think that's the question.
Yeah, I can take that one. So yeah, there is a trade-off here with the length of the epoch, and maybe one hour is indeed too short, and we can think of maybe moving towards, I don't know, a few hours. So the reason why making it very long, like many days, would be problematic is that these are the epochs when the kind of the mixnet is reconstituted, right? So if a node is having very bad performance, the ideal situation is where this node is ejected from the active set as fast as possible, as otherwise clients are selecting these nodes for their paths, and those packets are getting dropped, so they need to be retransmitted. So it's kind of hurting the user experience. While, if you have a shorter epoch, then you're able to kind of renew the set of active nodes to select the ones that are providing a good service. Now, this is less of an issue if nodes are more stable, and have better performance, in the sense that then if a node going down is more of a rare thing, then having longer epochs is still good, because you are not expecting many of these events of nodes going down during the epoch.
Thanks for the great question. Moving on to the new questions that we got. Sorry, Hux, you were about to add something, I think.
That's for the great answer. Super nice to hear this, actually. Then on the long run, as it gets more stable, maybe the longer the epochs can be, because we have more reliance on stable nodes. Super nice.
Yeah, that was super interesting. The first new question that we have for today is whether staked NIMs or rewards for staked NIMs get automatically compounded, or we need to manually.
No, they do. They are automatically compounded, both for bonds and delegations, so people don't have to worry about manually doing things.
And just to extend on this, it's already visible in the NIM wallet too. that it's auto-compounded. So it used to be not visible, but now it's also visible. So you can just check your accumulated delegations easily.
Yes, but those who have been around long enough know that this wasn't always the case. So back in the day, you had to compound your rewards manually, but nowadays it happens automatically. Progress, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, at least it's not Ethereum where like clicking on a compounding of $10 would cost you like $200, you know.
Yeah, probably that's also a factor. I believe that when you compound so you compound your NIM rewards, users don't pay the fees for that, right, Claudia? Am I right about that?
No, you don't pay fees for automatic compounding. I think once you click and you want to pass them to your spendable, or you want to add to a delegation, then you do pay a fee for the transaction. But if it's automatically being compounded, it's kind of for free.
Can I just add on something onto the end of the last question? Regarding the epochs, we do have to bear in mind that this is like a decentralized system, and if we kept people staked for 14 days to a node that's run by an anonymous user, if they were to then turn it off, that person would not gain any rewards for the duration of the epoch.
That's a very good point too, yeah.
Thank you guys for answering that question. Our next question is from Kovox. Why did NIM go with such a VC-oriented token distribution, especially in the light of the fact that mixed mining pool rewards are also feeding back to the large holders? Does that make sense?
Everybody's frozen.
Yeah, I think we had a bit of a discussion about this one before, whether we're the right persons here to answer this. Do you want to summarize? Because Claudia gave quite a nice and very simple answer to this.
Yeah, I mean, basically, we needed the funds to even make the project. I mean, this is a huge software project that needs a lot of people working on it, and these people need salaries to do the job. So yeah, I mean, the only thing we had to get this funding was the resource, was the tokens. And in the beginning, people don't know if the project is going to even work out or not. So of course, they don't give you so much money per token, right? So you need to give them a lot of them so that you have enough to develop the project. So that's a bit unfortunate, of course, for the situation we have now, but it's a bit unavoidable as well, as long as we are dependent on people funding the project for the project to be possible.
Okay, thanks for that answer. Moving on to the next question. I think this is primarily going to be for Serinko. A second, I just saw it a second ago. Oh yes. Is it possible for NIM to provide comprehensive legal advice across jurisdictions, but a legal best practice document will soon be published on the NIM GitHub, covering United States and Switzerland. Oh wait, this is actually not a question. Sorry, it's listed for me as a question. Apologies for that, guys. All right, so moving on to the next question, which is an actual question. So since TCP/IP has its own roots in DARPA, and nation states are already familiar with traffic analysis attacks, why no protection was embedded in the protocols to protect the users? Thanks for the question. Claudia, I think this one is for you.
Sorry, is this a question about why TCP/IP was not built with protection?
Yes.
Yes.
Well, I mean, that was a much more naive time, no, when this was developed. I mean, I think adversarial thinking I mean, initially it was basically, I mean, how to explain this? You in the beginning, you just wanted to work, right? I mean, these concerns about security, they come on a much later stage, once the thing has been seen adoption, once people have had a chance to play with it, to start building applications, and then they start thinking about what could go wrong, right? Like, I think at the time, it's not like in the beginning of time when you're developing something, you already have all the knowledge and information that will be known decades later at that point, right? You're building something new, you want it to work first, you wanted to send packets from A to B, and you're very happy if these packets get delivered. and then you're stuck with those legacy decisions that are difficult then to kind of modify, right? But that's a bit the nature of progress, I'm afraid.
Exactly.
I would
Another
maybe
another
also
good.
add something on that.
Sorry, go Serinko.
You know, like it's always easy and it's helpful. I'm not saying it's bad, but it's easier to look at things backwards, right? We look on history of things from today's point of view, but if we look at things from the point of view of time when decisions were taken and what were the concerns towards the future, we all of a sudden sitting on completely different chair and we're looking for a different optic in 180 degrees different direction. And that's so it's good to analyze today, but you know, there is nothing like a complete freedom or complete tyranny which will just be forever. There is a dialectic relation of those, and they kind of like, you know, who takes more of a space called, you know, struggle, if you wish, for, you know, for freedom. And then so surveillance and anonymity and privacy on the other side is just like kind of tools of these two, and it is the same. There is this constant race when like you make a protocol, you make something very useful which get adopted, you solve the problem which you think is the biggest problem of that time, but then of course something else comes and it's like, oh, we're gonna make analysis of what you just made, and then there needs to be a constant development. You cannot stop. It's kind of like a rolling stone uphill, you know. You cannot just like stop because it's gonna start to roll back against you, but you can't also never see it from the other way around, that at some point in the past you could have made a primitive or protocol solution which would stay forever. So I think it's important to keep in mind that we will maybe look at a NIM mixnet in 10 years backwards and be kind of like, why did we not make this type of implementation which we talk about in 2035 or something like that? And that's normal.
So
Quick note I'd add to the nature of progress. So if you imagine Facebook, when Facebook was created back in the day, it really was just so nobody wanted it to become you know, like a core reason behind a child or like a youth mental health crisis, and also basically the engine of modern day surveillance. They just wanted to create basically a website where people can, you know, I think it was actually a dating app prototype before it turned into what it is today. So things can have vastly unexpected consequences, the more powerful technology is. Go, Claudia.
Yeah, I mean, just to put things in perspective, because I mean, traffic analysis is a very sophisticated kind of attack, right? Like you need to do statistical analysis. Like it's not the first thing you do. I mean, the original protocols, the TCP/IP, they didn't have integrity or confidentiality, right? You could spoof things, you could read things that were not encrypted. So the traffic analysis concern is something that comes once you have end-to-end encryption, and once you have self-authentication, then it's kind of the next frontier, right? But it's not like when TCP/IP was designed, they forgot about traffic analysis. They didn't even kind of implement basic authentication or confidentiality. So this had to be added later, right?
Thank you. Yes. Does anyone else want to build on this question or on this answer, or are we done? Because I have another question that can basically follow up a bit on this. So if stakes and bonds are compounded automatically, what if the stake saturation of the node is 100%? And would the length of the epoch increase the rewards as well?
I can answer that. Yeah. So I mean, so I guess this is the situation where a node is exactly at 100%, and now things keep compounding, and now it becomes oversaturated, right? So indeed, that's something that will happen. The thing is that the oversaturation is kind of a gradual penalization. So what happens is that the node, once it reaches saturation, it's having kind of maximum rewards, right? So, and then it goes to oversaturation, and the rewards stay the same. It doesn't increase beyond the saturation rewards, right? So what's happening now is that the people who have delegated their compounded rewards beyond saturation are not providing any additional rewards, right? So they are having tokens that are, you know, accruing there, but the rewards they are generating in a compounding way are the same as if they didn't have that excess over the saturation point. So of course, the incentive at that point is that some people cash out some of those rewards and they delegate them to another node that is going to give them a better return because it's not yet at saturation.
Maybe you could also touch on, Claudia, what the reason is behind this. Like, why did we set up? So this is quite unique within the crypto space. Most projects, when you hear staking, that's an infinite thing. There's no saturation point. What's the logic behind this?
Yeah. So I mean, the thing is that if you want to provide service to a user base and you have a kind of a networking system that we're offering, you need to have a certain number of nodes, right? So let's say that every node can serve whatever 1,000 users, and if you have 100,000 users, then you need whatever 100 nodes, right? So the thing is that if you have a staking system where
Oh no, we lost Claudia again.
She always makes it back. No worries.
Yeah, she will come back, guys. Don't worry. Claudia's.
Pawnflake wanted to say something also.
Just a note on this, Claudia's basically covered it all. In Explore NIM, you can actually go to a node. You can go to the rewards calculator. And if you plug in an amount that's over saturation, so over 100%, you'll actually see that it calculates for you your drop in APR because you're sharing the rewards between a larger group of people or amount of NIM and so on. Yeah.
I'm back, guys. I don't know. You hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, let's hope it works now. So what I was saying is that you don't want to have just one node with all the stake, right? I mean, imagine everybody would just, or a very small number of nodes, which is, this is okay for kind of consensus, because the consensus becomes very inefficient if you have too many validators typically, right? So you want to keep that number kind of small. Of course, you want some decentralization, but it shouldn't be so big that the system becomes unworkable. With the mixnet, the more users we have, the more nodes we need to have to serve all those users, right? So you need to enforce in a way with the incentive mechanism, you need to enforce that multiple independent entities are going to be created and functioning with, each of them having their own stake, and that you're going to have sufficient of those to serve the demand, right? So it's not like a consensus where, they just have to agree on one thing. Here, every node is going to provide you with additional capacity to route the data of more users.
Makes total sense. Just a quick note about what Pawnflake mentioned. If you didn't manage to attend yesterday's masterclass with Pawnflake and Serinko, make sure to check out Explore NIM, Pawnflake's brand new, now in open beta. It was announced yesterday to be in open beta Explorer, which does all kinds of things that the previous Explorers that we had do not do. And Pawnflake left the chat with that.
He got the
Anyways,
chat.
I think there he is. Okay, cool. I think next question. All right, I think we've already answered this, but real quick, let's answer this one. This one from Anderson. Thanks for the question. If a node has a stake saturation of 102%, does it mean that it won't receive any rewards?
I can take over.
No.
Okay. No, it doesn't. I think it was said before Claudia talked before, right? Otherwise, because I think from what Claudia said should be clear. Basically, it means that you're gonna be dividing 102 among 100. Sorry, vice versa. You're gonna be dividing what 100 would get among 102. Sorry, excuse me. So you're gonna make less than if you would be dividing 100 between 100, right? That's how we make the calculation. But it doesn't mean that you're gonna get slashed 100% or something like that.
Yeah. It's a very graceful decline. If you are very oversaturated, then you indeed are getting a lot less per token that is at stake there. If it's just a tiny bit of oversaturation, you're basically almost the same as at a saturation.
Makes sense. And once again, with Explore NIM, you can make calculations based on the amounts that you would delegate. You can see whether that would oversaturate a node, and how delegating more would reduce the rewards that you receive.
And I think with this answer, we also answered Tim Kiesel's question, which is, I'm going to just read it out. So is slashing mechanism already implemented, or is it planned? Can it cause users with delegated funds to lose their stake? Could this be used in an attack? So I think we just answered this question with what you said last, Claudia.
But there is no slashing at all. Huh? There is no slashing at all.
I mean, if
Yeah.
you decline of rewards.
Yeah, you have an opportunity cost in getting fewer rewards that you could get if you had your staked over somewhere else. But in Cosmos, for example, you can actually lose some of your stake if the validator is slashed, right? Here you never lose, you just gain less. You have an opportunity cost. You're gaining less than you could gain.
Yeah,
Worst
there
case, you're
is.
gaining zero.
I think maybe what people can confuse, I think we should make it clear, there is no slashing on token side of staking. What does happen is on the side of not the blockchain, because the blockchain is only securing the mixnet. The mixnet itself is not on blockchain, right? What's happening on a mixnet side, if your node has bad performance, gets bad routing score, it's gonna be put on a blacklist. And it needs to be online for quite some time. The API is gonna be sending the ping test to it and to the nodes around that. And after some hours, maybe 24 hours at worst, it gets back because the ping test will be better and better. That will bring the routing score back up, and you will be taken automatically the stolen code out from the blacklist to the to the list which of nodes which can be part of the active set. That's on a mixednet side, but it's also not as seen as slashing. No, that doesn't mean anyone will touch upon your stake or anything like that. It's just about we're gonna make sure that the good performing nodes are gonna be the ones running the network, for the stability of the user experience.
Yeah, thank you guys. I think that's pretty clear and makes total sense. The next question asks us to make a prediction, actually. Not sure who's going to take this one, but the prediction ask is how many privacy users can NIM's tokenomics blueprint accommodate in the future?
I think this is perfect for Claudia, right?
I don't know. I guess the sky's the limit, no? I mean, the thing is that, we have these plans for launching a VPN service that is going to bring additional income into the system and the nodes. And hoping that this will take off. This basically, somebody in the chat was also asking, I'm going to mix my answer with that, was saying, what are the goals of the incentive mechanism? And the goal is basically to be able to scale, to have a system that scales and to scale with quality of service, right? So basically you can, one of the problems you can find in systems such as Tor is that, okay, so there's a few thousand people who are willing to run services as a volunteer. They do it out of their own time and money, and they contribute to the service, and that's really nice. But it's not like you can find infinite amounts of people to grow the system beyond that. So you hit a bottleneck in a way once. There is a certain community of people, and there are not so many people who are having the capacity and the willingness to do this kind of job for free, right? So the idea of enabling a market is that if you have a market, if there is demand, there will be entities that will be motivated by the kind of financial benefit to cover this demand, to jump in and do the work that is needed for this demand to be satisfied, because there is a payment coming for whoever is willing to do the job, right? So can you repeat the question that you're asking me now, just to make sure I'm covering everything?
The question was, Sam Francis is asking us to make a prediction. How many privacy users can NIM's token economic blueprint accommodate in the future? I think.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So to go back to that, if you have income from clients, right, from paying users, this is bringing additional income that is distributed to nodes, and then you basically have a circular economy where clients are buying NIM in the market to spend on the system. These NIM get distributed to the nodes providing the system, who can then cash out these NIMs, selling them to the clients who are using the system to kind of cover their cost and get a reward for their labor, right? So I don't think there is an inherent limit in how many users can benefit from this, especially because, once you have paying users, kind of the offer and the system is mediating this offer and demand. And you're basically, the more users, the more income, the more rewards. So of course, the more resources consumed as well by nodes. So everything kind of grows with each other, right?
And we have
I found a web
Thanks
page.
Sorry, go Serinko.
It's called worldometers.info/world population. If you check it out, it's about 8 billion right now.
So the sky is the limit with a link to the numbers. Thank you. I just wanted to add to this what you said, Claudia, that there is some commenter on one of the chats on YouTube saying that Cardano has more or less a similar staking mechanism, but NIM has a much better approach to avoid large nodes, in my honest opinion. Just wanted to add to this, and part of the reason I fell in love with the tokenomics white paper a year ago, and I think part of the brilliance of what you've put together is that current economic large-scale models incentivize, quality getting poorer or lesser amounts, or like our whole society is in shambles because it's incentivizing bad quality to be produced at a massive as we scale the system. So it's a very counter. It's a system which is exactly works the opposite way, which we haven't really seen too many of, even in the Web3 space. So this is one perfect example of how to use these tools and how to create token economic models which actually serve the improvement of all of the users it can accommodate, which is, as just we established, it's a infinite amount. The more users, the better quality, the more rewards. So sort of this is, I think, is ingenious and remarkable in the entire space.
Thank you very much. I mean, I have to say that the credit is shared with Agelos, who did all this work with me. I mean, he's the guy doing the kind of the proofs and some of the hard parts of the incentive mechanism. And I mean, obviously, yeah. I mean, Agelos is the chief scientist of IOHK, so he was behind the Cardano system, and indeed, the system was kind of a child of the Cardano system. But we put a lot of thinking, like lot of thinking into how to adapt it to the needs of NIM, and yeah, basically going through all the consequences of each of these incentives for the system over time. But yeah, thank you.
Thank you for your answer, guys.
Yeah, let's move on to the next question, maybe quite different. Are there any restrictions to run nodes in Venezuela and Cuba?
And the answer is no.
I can answer that by pushing the answer somewhere else, but maybe Hux is smiling. Well, what I will say, I've never been in these places, just for clarity. Cuba is not what it was used to be anymore. You will need to make a judgment whether it's for worse or better. But we're gonna have few sessions with Daniel. Daniel is doing a lot of community and operators work and is the head of the delegation program, which we're gonna announce very soon, from Ecuador. So unless, Hux is smiling a little bit, wants to say something, I would maybe say hold your horses, because Daniel is all about, I know Ecuador is not Venezuela, Ecuador is not Cuba, I'm not that ignorant, but he's doing a lot of research and a lot of community bounding and networking in those places, and is very, personally interested in nodes running in all those type of places. So I'll ping him with a question directly to make sure he's gonna bring an answer in the coming days and weeks, so stay tuned.
Yeah, thanks for that, Serinko. So I might have lacked some knowledge in this matter, but how I imagine the location of any node can be understood on two planes. Like one plane is where is the VPS provider's hardware that's accommodating the VPS that you're renting on it, and the second location, which is more in the cyberspace, is where is that VPS being projected, or where is it popping up as a node. So if I'm not mistaken, from both of these perspectives, it's completely possible to run a node as long as you can access VPS service providers from living in those countries, and just select a location where you want to actually make your node appear while also renting hardware somewhere not in your country. As for if there's any VPS providers in those countries, what can provide these services, I'm not sure. But is my understanding correct? Please correct me if I'm wrong with this location thing.
Who are you asking?
Maybe Pawnflake, I guess. I mean, we had conversations about this. We cannot hear Pawnflake at the moment.
Pawnflake? Hello?
No, he's out. Anyways, let's table this. Let's move on, and then maybe he comes back and can chip in. But that was my take on it.
All right. Moving on to the next question. I guess we've thoroughly answered this, but it's also an interesting time to ask this question. So I'm gonna ask it regardless. So what is the primary function of a NIM mixed node within the NIM network's privacy infrastructure? The question is from Ambaska. Thanks for the question. I guess this is kind of changing right now, right? Serinko, want to riff on this?
So yeah, NIM mixed node. Primary function is to, we should pull out some of the many infographics we had. But if we on that level of questions, I'll answer that, but I'll also encourage you to watch some of the earlier sessions, the one we had yesterday, the one with Harry, the first one. Like, it's all defined there much better with pictures and all the type of flow. However, NIM mixed node, what it's doing is it gets packets which are all your data in your local machine already on your local client are broken in the same size packets. Okay. And there's additional covered traffic of the same size, same looking packets added in your local client before it gets anywhere out of your machine. Then it hits the entry gateway to get to the NIM mixed network, and that gateway passes it to another 1 to 3 hops, 3 layers, currently 80 and 80 nodes of layers. So it's 80 times 80 times 80 of possibilities of routing, which each of those packets of the same size can go, because it's broken per packet. It's not broken per data. And what those mixed nodes do, they mix it with another user's packets going through the network at the same time, adding latency, a slight, some milliseconds of time obfuscation, so you cannot correlate the entry and exit of your packets, also because each of them have different routing. That's what a mix node is doing, right? We're very soon going into binary, and I'll be talking at length about that in level 3 masterclass. We will need a lot of time, so I can't really take all the time now. But we're moving into binary, where from perspective of an operator, you get the binary and you compile it, or you just download the binary if you want, or you compile the whole platform. And you run the binary, and you allow for the functionalities as gateway, which already has included network requester, the exit gateway, and then the mixed node and the entry gateway. So from operator perspectives, you just enable these functions and doesn't make any difference in very soon future. And that will be called NIM node, right? And the NIM node, according to the algorithm, automatic decision of a network demand, will decide whether your node in the coming epoch will run as a mixed node or as a gateway with a network requester, the exit gateway, or as an enter gateway. But the thing in between, the 3 hops of the mixed nets, that's the mixed node function, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. Thank you. The next question, I guess, would be directed towards Claudia. Yeah, if you want to answer very briefly, can you describe your key goals from the tokenomics design?
Yeah, so I mean, the key goal is scalability with quality of service, right? So basically, to enable a market for private bandwidth that allows customers to buy this bandwidth and obtain a good service when they are trying to use this bandwidth, and that enables providers, in this case nodes, to receive payment for their cost and effort in providing the service to the clients, right? And the idea is that the system should be scalable, such that if more people are wanting to use the system, the rewards get very attractive, and then more people are compelled to run infrastructure in the system. And if they don't do a good job and they just run crappy infrastructure, then, well, the rewards will not be as good as if they run, if they run things well. So the idea is, to be able to grow to meet demand, whatever this demand is, while still ensuring that quality of service is preserved for all the users.
Thanks for that answer. I think we've already covered this quite thoroughly, but it was nice to hear it in such a concise little package. So I'll save that for later. Moving on to the next question. I believe since Hux is becoming a bit of a NIM token expert lately, I believe this one is for him, but of course anybody can riff on it. Basically, the question is from Arif, is why if we have our own blockchain, Nix, and the NIM token lives, the native NIM token lives on that blockchain, then why is the ERC20 version of the NIM token is listed everywhere on many exchanges?
Thank you, Sudo. So first of all, I think I'm only interning and learning a lot during these hours. I'm far from being an expert, but I'm super happy for the opportunity to answer these questions, because this one I actually can answer. Yeah, so the reason why NIM is listed mostly as ERC on, I mean, most of the exchanges ERC20 is to increase accessibility to token, right? So most exchanges already support Ethereum chains, and to list an ERC20 token on those exchanges is a lot more easier, technically said, which in turn enables a lot of users to acquire who have already accounts on those exchanges. And as we move on forward, and hopefully this is going to be the case, as more trading volume happens on more exchanges in the native listings, the more exchanges will start listing native NIMs. And hopefully, maybe in the future, there's not going to be so much need at all for an ERC20 token. I mean, as soon as all the coin list vestings have finished, when all the ERC20 NIMs are sort of handed out, those can be just also changed to native NIMs. So this is, I think, it's also a development in progress. And the more people use a token, the less it's going to be listed as ERC20. That's a short answer.
So to qualify that, my understanding is that all the ERC20s, they were bought when the sale happened, and there was no vesting on those. So everything that is vesting is Cosmos.
Okay, great. Thank you. Yes.
Yes, thank you. We have another quick question. Is the NIM token inflationary or deflationary? And can network fees tokens be burned?
So the NIM token has a fixed supply. Okay. So what is deflationary is the rewards of the mixed mining pool, right? So in the sense, deflationary in this way, Bitcoin is deflationary in the sense that over time, there are fewer being emitted, right? Because you emit a percentage of what you have. So it is not inflationary because no new tokens are minted. It is also not really deflationary. What is deflationary is the amount of rewards that are given. But yeah,
Maybe
basically, there's 1 billion NIM tokens minted, and those are the ones that exist, and there is no more, and that's it.
Thank you for that. Can I just add maybe one more deflationary perspective? Because as stake saturation increases, with the more NIMs being in circulation, the less NIMs will stay in active circulation. So there's also an aspect of as we're coming closer to the staking targets or the stake saturation targets, the less NIMs going to circulate. So in that way, it's deflationary in terms of how many tokens are actively used as rewards. Or maybe it's the same thing what you said, Claudia, but it's kind of another perspective on this. Deflationary mixed mining rewards. Sorry, guys, for the rumbling.
No, that's
we need to. It's a collective learning journey, and we need to sort of digest all these pieces of information multiple times, no, to be fully understanding the whole picture and how it works together. So I think it's cool. Next question.
Definitely. Yeah, next question. This is from Samuel Tom. Thanks for the question. Does NIM have any future plan of pioneering research and establishing community in sub-regions of Africa? Africa is a potential marketplace for this project. Maybe Hux, or should I take this question?
I totally zoomed out. I was looking at the question. Sorry, do you want to take it?
Oh yeah, so I think this one is for me as head of community. So yeah, we definitely have plans to make moves towards Africa. We already have a Nigerian community quite active. We have quite a few Nigerian ambassadors as well. So so I think in general for the crypto space, Africa is a pretty important region for more reasons than one. When it comes to, and I've been saying this quite a few times, but if you are from Africa, then please reach out to me and let's have a conversation about the kind of narratives that speak to people in Africa regarding privacy. A lot of our communications is very Western focused over here at NIM, and I think that's an issue that a lot of projects have. Obviously, I'm from Europe, so all I have is this lens, and when we say NSA, when we say mass surveillance, a lot of the stuff that we use to communicate the problem of privacy and also our solution to it, it doesn't really resonate with the global South in general, and especially Africa. So if you have any ideas on how to, if you're a visionary, referring to the next level of shipyard, and you have any ideas as to how to better communicate the message and vision of privacy in your region, then please reach out and let's have a chat about it.
Yeah, I would maybe add a thing.
Oh, sorry, go Serinko.
I'll just add, like, there is, like, because these questions, they can have two edges of how they sound to people's ears, so it's not like, oh, we're gonna expand, like, oh, we're gonna bring crypto to Africa type of thing, right? Like, give us your gold and we're gonna give you this, like, Ponzi scheme shitcoin kind of thing. That's not what we will talk about, right? As we said before, we know the users, we know the operators neither. So it either gains traction for a need which is in different places, or it doesn't. What we can help is to make sure that there is a communication, and the communication is adjusted to understand why the software can be helpful for people's problems elsewhere, and preferably so by having people who are around that in those places, right? We just talked with Ade, with our biz dev colleague, how it's some of the currencies are so inflationary and so unstable that people actually do run, there's like arbitrary premium on even buying USDT, because in many places people are like so given up on central bank, on the banks running the national currency in those places, that they just like don't see that a viable option. While in Europe it's more like, oh, crypto is some sort of niche, or it's for people who want to do some kind of casino, because that kind of narrative, and this comes to over things which are utilities, such as like us using blockchain for actual utility and not for like pumping up a game. So I think the narrative there is important, and then to see, okay, is there a need or not? And that's, I just want to stress that is a completely different approach about offering technology, rather than, and having a conversation, rather than kind of like see it as sort of expansion and bring in something no one wants, because we don't really have that approach, but also we don't have that leverage. Even if we had, so we couldn't, it would be a losing game for us in that case.
Yeah, thank you, guys. Our next question, and maybe last, I'm not sure how much time we have left to answer, but yeah, what plans do we have to make the token more accessible and interoperable? Are there plans to list on major exchanges, and can it be used as a native token for applications? Who wants to take this? I think good for all of you.
So here, how do you take it? Let me take it.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's a key question, making the tokens more accessible, interoperable. I think there's a lot of us working on many things related to this right now, and not predominantly on the exchange listings, but more on interoperability. So there's a lot of I've also spoken about this on the Tuesday class, and I'm going to be talking about these again next Friday on the hands-on tokenomics, sort of like token flow workshop. So do come, but just to mention some that's being worked on, a lot of integrate, like a Kepler wallet integration, also the whole Kepler wallet. So you're going to be able to stake directly from the NIM Explorer by using your Kepler wallet, which is already a huge jump ahead in usability. And the next stop's hopefully going to be different Cosmos ecosystem players, like the Osmosis DEX, or Leap Wallet, or Secret Networks. There's so many easy integrations which would make the token more usable that are being worked on already in the pipeline. And I think we did answer the exchange listings before and how those work. So yeah, that would be my answer shortly. And if you're interested in more, come next Friday to same time to my session next week.
All right. Unfortunately, I could go on for hours with this, but but we have a hard stop at 5 p.m. because of the fireside chat that Hux and I will be leading right after this. So you're all invited, but unfortunately, we'll have to wrap this up. Huge thanks for your answers, guys, and also for your questions. Some absolutely lovely questions. Hopefully, we got to answer yours. If not, then there will be more AMAs. So don't worry. Now, as it's becoming a tradition now, let's do the outro. I'm going to share the secret phrase for this AMA. Can you please share my screen? There we go. So the secret phrase for today is NIM for good. Now everybody got to select all of our guests here got to select one except for Pawnflake. So Pawnflake selected this one. So I'm going to direct the question to you. Why is NIM for good important, and why did you select this phrase?
Okay, I will get to that, but I briefly want to touch on a question that kind of links into this. So there was talk about Africa. I've identified it as a place to run a mixed node. You could certainly run a business within Africa, supporting the privacy of Western users and bringing economic benefit to your local community. Not necessarily an African user needing the privacy, but I'll move on to NIM for good because it kind of links in to bringing good to your local communities. With Explore NIM, we want to move towards sort of a community of people that can show sort of like advertise their nodes within Explore NIM when they're doing good, and as a community we vet the nodes to see what good they're doing and judge which ones should be in the forefront for people to see, and this will help those nodes to get delegation, and with the rewards that they get, use NIM for good, help with bad things.
Exactly. I'm super excited about this. When I first heard this, I had an ear-to-ear smile because there's a lot of power to do good in community, and this will be one of the ways how the NIM community can do good. So beautiful stuff. Keep us posted on that, Pawnflake. And moving on to how you can claim your POAP for this event. So please go to the nimtech.net/go/POAP site. The link will be shared in the chat as well, and enter the phrase NIM for good. As always, you will have 15 minutes to claim your POAP. And as for next steps, as I mentioned, we're going to have a fireside chat starting right after this one. So that's 5 p.m. on a Jitsi link, which will be shared in the chat as well. Make sure to join. It's going to be a lovely late week Friday evening sort of laid back conversation. Also, make sure to join the NIM Matrix server. We're having a bit of problem sharing Matrix links in the YouTube chat for some reason, but we're going to be sharing it on all our other channels. So that's where the serious conversations happen. That's the place for our core community. And also don't forget to claim your level 1 rewards in time. So if you won any rewards for level 1 because you aced the quiz, which congratulations, by the way, then you already received an email. Please check your inbox and make sure to claim before the deadline, which is next Thursday. Also do the reading as usual, which we've shared already regarding the masterclasses, or like mandatory and recommended reading for the masterclasses of this week. And of course, have a good week. Or have a good weekend. This is absolutely mandatory. I would like to thank again for our guests for joining. Do you have any closing remarks?
Yes, I do. Somebody asked briefly about help with operating a node. Yes, there's Telegram channel, there's a Discord channel, and there's also a Matrix channel. So just look for them and people will help you straight away.
Thank you all for coming and for your questions, and it was lovely sharing this stage with you guys. Thanks, Claudia, Serinko, Pawnflake, Diane, and Sudo.
Thanks, everyone.
Have a lovely weekend.
Nice one.
Thank you, guys.
See you all at the fireside chat in just a second.
Ciao, ciao.